Calvin's going to give the invocations, and Mr. Pomeroy, I'm sorry, in reverse order. Mr. Pomeroy is going to do the pledges, and Mr. Calvin the invocations. So if you'll rise, we'll take care of those.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all those who are gathered here today, and especially in this meeting, we thank you for the 5th anniversary of DCTA Rail, and just the blessings you've given us in that, this groundbreaking operation that we've established here under your guidance. We thank you for all past and present directors, employees, contractors, and customers. And we just pray that you will continue to guide and direct this organization in accordance with your will. In Christ's name.
Amen.
Thank you.
Charles, if I could, I've got a couple of introductions to make, if I could, and so we'll do that. So we've got two new folks coming in. Christina talked about it in her report. Christina, could you talk about Jonah, introduce him to the board?
I would love to. Jonah, please stand. This is Jonah Katz. He is our new senior planner that is going to be helping with long-range planning. Jonah comes to us from the Garland Economic Development Corporation. Prior to that, he was in San Antonio. And prior to that, I must say, he is a native Illinois resident. So I'm filling Texas with all the Yankees. I'm excited to have him on board. We talked about the position for a long time. Finding someone that fit the skill sets that we were looking for was a very difficult task. A lot of Canadians were applying for the position. So I'm thrilled to have him on board. He's been here for a whopping 2.5, 3 weeks. And you'll see a lot more of him. And I'm ready to see him take some projects on and turn them over so we can keep things progressing forward. So if you could welcome Jonah Katz.
And then I'm going to ask Nicole to introduce Troy Henderson. Troy's is coming on board to help us particularly support y'all as the board. The real challenge is just to support me too, but he'll, if you could, Nicole, introduce Troy.
I'm actually going to pass it over to Rusty.
Okay.
Since she is responsible for this wonderful hire.
I am very excited to bring on another teammate to support all of our staff. We brought on Linda not too long ago, and she's been kind of a rock star, so I'm hoping that Troy can fill in those same shoes and take over this board stuff. I have been throwing a lot at him lately, and my hope is he hits the ground running. So if y'all hear anything from Troy Henderson, just know this is the face behind the name.
Very good. We're going to introduce Marty now, but you've already been introduced to Marty Burke, so glad he's with us. First Transit. And then I did have, Christina was I'd like to recognize staff when they do wonderful things. And Christina was awarded recognized as a 2016 Rising Star by Progressive Railroad Magazine. So, Christina. Wow. Now, rumor has it that we'll hear some more great things about the procurement department getting an award, and Nicole out there. So, but we're going to be sharing those things as they get formalized and we actually get certificates. So, great job, Christina. Awesome.
Picture.
Oh yes.
Picture. Let's go.
Yay. Oh, no, you get to hold your award. Yay.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, good stuff. So, and then Jim Owens, you're a familiar face, and Michelle's a familiar face. So, thank you. That's it.
A couple of comments about those of you that have been following George Campbell's situation. He is home from the hospital now. Got a text from him last night. Seems to be progressing, hopes to be back. He obviously won't be here today, but I think things are looking better for him, and so thought you might want to know that. Okay, we're going to move on. Are you through with all the agency
Yes, I am, Charles.
Okay, I didn't want to get ahead of it. Consent agenda item number 1, I'll read them all and then we'll take a motion. Consent agenda item 1A, approval of minutes for the board work session and regular meeting on June 23rd, 2016. Item 1B, acceptance of financial statements, June 2016. Item 1C, acceptance of quarterly investment report. That's quarter 3 of FY 2016. 1D, approval of award of bus painting and repair services for 6 Exona area paratransit systems and its taps buses with Spectrum Truck Painting, Inc. Item 1E, approval of task order with HFTV Corporation on the on-call architectural and engineering services for drainage, flume repair, and strengthening. Item 1F, authorize president to execute an agreement for banking depository services with Wells Fargo. And item 1G, authorize president to execute a master research agreement with Texas A&M Transportation Institute. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition by like sign. Abstentions like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're down to item 2A, discussion approval of change orders to the Alstrom signaling contract for High-Speed Train Control. Mr. Frank.
Yes, we talked about this briefly during the work session. This is we're bringing forward a recommendation to execute a change order with Alstom Signaling for 2 items. One is for additional cut sections and additional design effort. That change order is in an amount of $681,790. We have a remaining contingency of 6%. These items will keep us on track with to not only improve the performance of the system, make sure we can complete the design, make any redesign that has to be done to keep us on time to meet our FRA requirements. Staff recommends approval and that you authorize me to execute the change order, again, to Alstom Signaling for $681,790. Be happy to take any questions.
Questions? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Okay, we've got 2. I'll let Connie do this one. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition like sign. Abstention like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Wow, that was quick. I mean, we got down to the executive session. I hear that there are no executive
I
sessions.
have no recommendations for that, Charles.
Okay.
My recommendations actually cannot be.
So I'll lead off with the chair report. Regional transportation issues, just a couple of things that came out of the last RTC meeting you may have interest in. There's a lot of discussion, will be more discussion about the new plan for the city of Dallas, which is called City Map. It's all over the board. You probably have seen some things in D Magazine that may impact City Map, such as lowering, if not eliminating, 345, which goes in between downtown Dallas and DPM. A lot of planning on DART's downtown issues and the alignment. There's 2 or 3 different alignments for the second DART line in downtown Dallas that had some discussion last time. The other thing is still high-speed rail, and I think you all have probably kept up with it in the newspaper and so forth. It's still a hot item. I think the one that's discussed most is Dallas-Houston coming into Dallas. There is some still questions about the San Antonio-Austin, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City route. So both of those are out there. Still a lot of things to be resolved. I still think, and I've talked to a couple of legislators about the issue of private sector condemnation. There's a lot of things in the public utility side on private sector condemnation. I think this is kind of a new front for that thing, and I think they're going to have to resolve it somehow in the next legislative session to get high-speed rail going. It's building, but it's still got a lot of hurdles. The initial issue is going from Dallas to Houston route, that is, going from Dallas to Fort Worth. Arlington's wrestling for, obviously, a midpoint stop, which makes as much sense as anything with all the entertainment going on out there. So just a lot of things still in the air. I think it'll be addressed, maybe in discussion. I don't know what could be approved next session, but I think it'll get some more attention than it has. So high-speed rail is still alive. The timing is still, I think, very abstract as far as we're concerned. Anything else I can RTC matters, still long agendas. And the region is really kind of preparing for the next legislative session, which I think will be really important for us. Funding is always an issue. Anything else? Mr. Klein, you got anything to add to that?
No, I'll have some items in my report. Other than that, we're good.
Okay, I think what we're gonna start doing for DCTA is, and I would ask that you look at this next executive committee meeting, that we put a legislative committee meeting at Jim, and bring Drew in and his staff, and let's start seeing what we need to do. We don't have anything yet for this agency, but there are a whole bunch of issues out there from a regional standpoint, and I think it's expected for us to participate in supporting the region in the legislative session. So a lot of it's funding, those kinds of things. So we probably need to start preparing that case. That's all I have. Jim, you don't have anything? We're down to you.
Budget transfers, I already talked about it. The one thing we did, we took several items in bus operations to a total of $75,000, did a transfer to fund the TTI study. So that's set. We made those changes. Regional transportation issues, the groundbreaking for TexRail will be on the 24th of August at the TNP station, 2 p.m.
Oh, everybody know what TexRail is by now?
The Cotton Belt running from downtown Fort Worth. So that's good.
Up to the airport.
Up to the airport. We did have a good chance to meet this week with Michael Morris, talking about the Fort Worth to Denton service. Had a very positive, discussion with him on not only the operating funds for that service, but the long-term plan, purchase of buses, different buses, more over-the-road coaches, really a premier kind of service that Christine has been talking about so much in the last year. So that effort is coming to fruition. One of the things we did talk about is kicking the service off with this initial plan that we put in the budget request. I think what that'll do is we can leverage that to getting the COG funds for operations, getting UNT on board to fund it, maybe bringing in other cities. And that may take us funding that going forward for the first, just one bus. We'll need to think long haul what happens after the operating funds go away. We'll have to think about that as we go forward. But that was a very positive development that we came to him with, and certainly hadn't been formally approved, but we feel very comfortable with that. In the next several weeks, we'll get an answer on that, which would be, it goes to that relationship we build with the region and our role. And I think it speaks volumes to a cooperative effort between DCTA and the Fort Worth Transportation Authority. I think that's extremely positive. So I know that there's been some questions about when we start funding the 35W corridor and how that works. And I think that if we separate that out as its own business unit, and then look to find that additional funding from different folks from the UNT and from the Council of Governments, I think we could have a real successful deal that could be defensible internally in our organization.
Jim, was the Fort Worth Transportation Authority at that meeting with you?
Yes, we were there together.
Okay.
We actually submitted a joint letter that both Paul Ballard and I signed. Both letterhead, both unit, logos were on it. Submitted a joint application for the service, and it's a really pretty elegant deal. I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the past, but having where we run buses down to Fort Worth, they run them all the way to Denton from a customer-facing perspective. And Jim, you brought that up about the phones, but the last thing in the world we want people to do is get to the county line and have to get off of one of our buses and get on a T bus. And moving this forward is really great. The T has committed to, is already said they're going to run the service whether we're able to fund it or not, at least one bus. This 3 hours between buses would be pretty long, so I think bringing in that second bus would be a very positive thing. A lot happened in the region. Charles talked about high-speed rail. A number of things happening with that, and we're cranking up to the legislative session. So some interesting times. We did publish our Q3 performance report a you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to share those, talk to you about those things. The only items really of note, I think, that are key. We had a high number of accidents on the bus side in first quarter. We're trending down on that overall, so we're hoping to see that continue to improve. We did have, and then our cost per rider, again, based on budgetary expectation, the estimates we had, we talked about those numbers, and so that's at that point. And we also have, and then Raymond briefed you earlier on, we talked about the single car operations that will commence on Saturday. So good news in that regard. I hope you find this is a good document, and what we have, a good summary of what's going on that you can share with folks, talk about our budget, and all the good things happen in DCTA in a pretty concise document. So if you'd like to see some changes to that, let us know. We'll be happy to do it. One more for this year, and then we'll look into FY17 as we go forward. I would, on an administrative note, one thing that's very helpful, we've had a few disconnects on emails that aren't getting through and things like that. If you have a particular calendar notices or something that we found, we use Outlook here, and we do all the meeting notices with Outlook, and I know that's not what everybody does. So if you think about it, if you feel like if you're missing any of these things, let us know. We'll send it out. I'm always happy to either print something out, send you a PDF. If something, the share file download doesn't work for you, just let us know. Rusty, Troy, myself, we'll all be happy to help you make sure you get the information you need so that you're fully prepared for any meetings. And we don't want you to have to, some of these documents are pretty long, so I know personal printers, your tongue start dragging about halfway through these things. So, we need to print you one out. Happy to do it. That's not hard. We'll be happy to take it, mail it to you, deliver it, do whatever we need to do. We'll take care of you.
It'd be nice to have a text message sent out on the day of the board meeting to all board members that says, don't forget the board meeting this afternoon at 1:30, workshop, board meeting at 3. It's just a nice reminder sometimes.
I think that's not a hard thing. We can do that.
It's an easy thing to do.
That's an easy thing to do.
It may boost our total attendance.
We'll put it on social media.
With comments.
Let's not do that part.
Could I just add to that? If you had us on a group text list, that would be helpful, not only for board things, but
Yeah.
any other really important announcements that you'd like us to get. I'm on a couple other lists, and I find them very helpful.
I
Just
think we
remember
focus so
those
much energy on
just-
reaching our customers, we tend to not do that with the board sometimes, and I think that type of change can be welcome.
I'm going to get ahead of Peter on one thing. If we have a group text, it needs to be a one-way information.
I understand.
And then call us back if you have questions.
Yeah.
Because if it's a group text with all of you on there,
I get it.
and you're sharing information, then it becomes, just by definition, it's a group meeting.
Yeah.
So,
But that is also one of the things that whenever we're combining this gov delivery, as we can also do internal groups, and so one of the things I put in there was to add the board as an internal group, so that whenever we send things out, it comes from that place instead of my personal cell phone or Troy's personal cell phone. It would come from gov delivery, and it would be easily traceable.
and one of the things that also goes into is how we deal with crisis, I call it crisis communication. When a critical event happens, if there's an accident or something of particular note that we need to communicate quickly, that could be a really good thing. We do that with the officers. If y'all are familiar with how our critical events are communicated, if we do have, say, an accident, we communicate, we just, the process. I send a text or phone calls to the officers of the board saying, something happened, we don't know the details yet, but there's something cooking out there.
Right.
When we learn more and more details, then we send an email out to the entire board. If it escalates further, then we're sending a press release, then we hold a news. We had to do this on a couple of occasions the time I've been here, actually call a time when we bring the press in for interviews and work that out. So that's the process that we go through. And something like a group text is, again, outbound only. We could certainly work on that to be able to share information so you all know what's going on.
I'm going to put a disclaimer on it, for
I'd-
Pete's sake.
Well, no, I mean, this is part of talk about the rules of engagement. I mean, this is part of the responsibility that we all have as in our duty to the Open Meetings Act and all those things. And that part of what we're going to try to do is make sure we want to make sure we remind everybody of that so that we don't get into any issues. That's all I have unless you have questions of me.
Well, the same thing goes if you're having a meeting with your city that you're representing. I mean, I know that we're going to have a discussion on that at the meeting with Flower Mound, and just having adequate notice, because sometimes the city may not contact that representative.
Yes.
So that, I think we can sharpen our pencil there a little bit. So I'm
Okay.
not trying to throw anybody on the bus. I'm just saying, I think we can do a little better job there.
Okay. That we will do. And we are scheduling some meetings with particularly the member city, the contributing member cities to come in. If you need your member cities, any city wants to bring in council members, guests, to come to the rail operations facility. Good tours. We take in elected officials, members of Congress, House and Senate members from the state through our facility. It shows well. It tells a great story about DCTA, and it really helps communicate our brand and our message. So
We're gonna start that, what, a week or so?
as soon as we can get them scheduled, Charles.
Okay, and then if it's Flower Mound or whomever, we'll invite Jim and Louisville, myself, and Highland Village, so we'll make sure we get the representative in there. But we've already got quite a few lined up. Jim and I did attend incidentally a meeting that was called by the Chamber of Commerce of Denton. We met with 3 new council women there, about 2 weeks ago. So we'll get those people in, and anyone else that's new, we'll invite the board rep for that respective city, and it'll be something we've done for years and years, and that is to try to give those people a foundation for DCTA so that, there won't be a curiosity there when we come up on their agenda somewhere. They'll know who we are and what we do. So that's going to start probably within 2 weeks, and we'll be going for anyone. We have legislators down there. We even have U.S. reps and congressmen there, so the door is open. Anything else under reports? Chair, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
No, okay, I thought I wasn't going to get a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition, there should not be any. So it's 3:57, council, and this meeting's closed.
You didn't ask for extension.
Stick around.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Okay, Raymond, when are we getting finished?
Thank you, Connie.
Like right now.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get
Bottom?